Rain tapped against the black umbrellas as I stood beside my father's grave, staring at the empty chair near the front row. My mother leaned toward me. "Daniel, has Victoria called?" I looked at my phone. "Nothing. She's on her way," I said. My sister, Lily, turned sharply. "Don't lie to Mom. Not now." She knew what today was. "I know. You reminded her. 3 times. My mother gripped my arm. Maybe something happened. Victoria wouldn't miss this. I swallowed. Of course not. But I remembered Victoria's face that morning. "Daniel, I have an emergency meeting," she had said. I had stared at her. "My father is being buried today." "I know." "Then cancel it." "I can't. You're the CEO. That doesn't mean I can abandon everything." I had laughed without humor. "Apparently, you can abandon me." She had kissed my cheek. "Don't make this harder than it already is." Now the priest cleared his throat. "We gather today to remember a man who gave more than he ever asked for." My chest tightened. My father had hated funerals. Once, after we buried his oldest friend, he had nudged me and said, "Daniel, if anyone gives a boring speech at mine, haunt them for me." I almost smiled. Then my mother whispered, "Your father loved Victoria." "He did. He kept asking if she was coming." I looked at the empty chair. "I know." Lily moved closer. "Daniel, look at me." "I'm trying to listen." "No, you're waiting." "For what?" "For her." I said, "She's coming." "And if she isn't?" Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. My heart jumped. "Excuse me," I whispered. Lily watched as I looked down. Unknown number. A single message. No words. Just a photograph. At first, I did not understand what I was seeing. Then everything inside me went still. Victoria stood beneath golden lights inside a luxury hotel ballroom. She wore the silver dress she had told me she was saving for our anniversary. Adrian Cross stood beside her, smiling. His arm was around her waist. Her hand rested against his chest. I checked the timestamp. 20 minutes ago. My father's coffin had been lowered into the ground 20 minutes ago. Lily noticed my face. "What is it?" I locked the screen. "Nothing. Daniel, nothing." The priest continued. "A good man leaves pieces of himself in the people he loves." My hands began to shake. My mother reached for me. "Are you all right?" I wanted to say yes. Instead, I asked, "Mom, did Dad ever tell you that people can disappear before they actually leave?" She frowned. "What?" My phone vibrated again. This time, there was a message. "Sorry. Had to handle something important. I'll explain later. Love you." I stared at the words. Lily grabbed my wrist. "What did she say?" I showed her. Her eyes moved to the photograph before I could stop her. "Oh, Daniel. Don't. She's with Adrian. I can see that. On today of all days?" My throat burned. The priest looked toward me. "Would you like to say a few words about your father?" I put my phone away. For a second, I could not breathe. Then I stepped forward. "My father taught me that showing up matters." My voice cracked. "He used to say that love is easy when life is easy. The real test is whether someone stands beside you when there is nothing to celebrate." My mother began crying. I looked at the empty chair. He showed up for me every time. When I failed, when I was afraid, when I had nothing to offer. I hope he knew how much that meant. I stepped back. My phone buzzed again. Victoria called me again now. I silently watched her name flash across the screen. Lily whispered, "Are you going to answer?" "No." "Why?" I looked at my father's grave. Because something inside me had changed. I had spent years believing Victoria's promises, because I loved the woman who made them. No matter what happens, it'll always stand with you. Her voice echoed in my head. I looked at the empty chair one last time. Then I looked at the photo. Victoria. Adrian. 20 minutes ago. While I was burying the man who raised me, my wife had chosen another man. And standing in the rain beside my father's grave, I finally understood something I should have seen long ago. The chair beside me was empty, but so was my marriage, broken long before today. After the funeral, I drove home alone with the radio turned off. I could still hear the rain hitting the windshield, but my mind kept returning to the empty chair beside my father's grave. My phone rang when I reached the highway. Victoria. I answered. "Daniel, I am sorry." I gripped the steering wheel. Sorry for what? The board meeting turned into a disaster. I could not leave. Was Adrian there? Silence. I asked again. Was Adrian there? Daniel, do not start this today. I laughed once. Start what? You know what I mean. No, Victoria. I really do not. My father was buried today. I asked you to stand beside me. You said you had a meeting. Then someone sent me a photograph of you with Adrian. Another silence. So he was there. It was a business event. At a hotel? Yes. With your hand on his chest? Daniel, please. Do not tell me please. Tell me the truth. I am driving home now. That was not my question. We will talk when I get there. I ended the call. For the rest of the drive, every memory came back with a different meaning. Working late, private dinners, emergency trips. I had defended her every time someone asked why she was never around. By the time I reached home, I was too tired to cry. Marcus was sitting on my front steps with 2 bags of food. I stopped. What are you doing here? He lifted one bag, bringing supplies to a man who probably forgot to eat. I am not hungry. Good. More food for me. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Inside, he placed containers on the kitchen table. Then he sat across from me, without saying anything. I stared at him. What? Nothing. You did not come here to say nothing. Marcus leaned back. Do you want to tell you what I know? My stomach tightened. No. Daniel, I think I already know. That is not an answer. Neither is yours. He looked down. I said, how long? I do not know. Try again. Marcus rubbed his hands together. A few months. Maybe longer. And you knew? I suspected. You watched me defend her. I did. You watched me call myself lucky. I know. Anger rose inside me. So why did you keep quiet? Because every time I tried, you told me I hated Victoria. I closed my eyes. He was right. Marcus continued. I saw them at dinner twice. Not business dinners. Private ones. My chest hurt. There were trips too. I know about the trips. Do you know Adrian stayed after some company events when everyone else left? I opened my eyes. No. Marcus looked at me carefully. I did not want to believe it either. I remember Victoria saying, I am working for our future. Now the words felt dirty. I stood. Do you want to know the worst part? What? I still want her to walk through that door and explain everything. That does not make you weak. It makes me stupid. No, it makes you someone who loved his wife. Before I could answer, my phone rang again. I looked at the screen. Samuel Price, my father's lawyer. I answered. Samuel? Daniel, are you alone? I looked at Marcus. No, come alone. Why? There was a pause. My father just died. Samuel, I do not have patience for mystery. Your father left something for you. Can it wait? No. What is it? Something he wanted you to understand before anyone else could reach you. My hand tightened around the phone. Anyone else? Daniel, listen carefully. Do not tell Victoria about this call. I looked toward the window. Why would I tell Victoria? Because she may already know part of it. My heart began beating harder. Samuel, what are you talking about? Come to my office tomorrow morning. Alone. Samuel. Another pause. Then he said, Daniel, your father knew you were being used. The line went dead. Marcus stared at me. What did he say? I slowly lowered the phone. I do not know yet. Marcus stood and moved closer. Whatever Samuel meant, we will find out together. I shook my head. No, he said alone. Marcus nodded. Then go alone. Promise me one thing. What? Stop lying to yourself. I looked toward the door, waiting for Victoria to return. But for the first time, I wonder if my father's funeral was only the beginning of everything I was about to lose. I arrived at Samuel's office expecting papers about my father's small estate. Instead, Samuel placed a sealed envelope in front of me. I stared at my name. That is his handwriting, I said. Samuel nodded. He asked me to give it to you after the funeral. Why not before? Because he believed you were not ready. For what? Say more insight. Read it. My hands shook as I opened the letter. Son, if you are reading this, I am gone, and I hope you finally see what I was too afraid to say. I stopped. Samuel, What was he afraid to say? Keep reading. My father wrote that he had watched Victoria change. He said he never hated her, but power had become more important to her than people. I read aloud. She stopped looking at you as her husband, Daniel. She started looking at you as part of the life she wanted others to admire. My throat tightened. He told you this? Many times. And you agreed with him? I saw what he saw. Why did nobody tell me directly? Your father tried. You defended her. I looked away. Samuel continued. Your father loved you enough to worry about being a villain in your marriage. I read the next page. Then I froze. Samuel, what is it? This says he invested in a technology company. Yes, years ago, before you married Victoria. I looked up. How much? Enough to change your life. That is not an answer. Samuel folded his hands. The company was small when he invested. Now his shares are worth millions. I laughed, but nothing about it felt funny. My father lived in a modest house. He believed money should remain quiet. Victoria knows? She knows part of the investment exists. I remembered helping her review old paperwork. She had asked questions about my father's accounts. I said, she told me it was only for organization. Samuel gave me a long look. And you believed her? I believed my wife. Samuel opened another file. What is this? Your legal ownership. I read the document slowly. My father had transferred everything to me. Victoria has no claim? Not unless you give her one. My chest turned cold. Samuel, why are you telling me this like someone is coming after it? Because someone already tried. Who? Adrian Cross. The room went silent. I stood so... Quickly, my chair scraped the floor. Adrian asked about my father's assets. He asked my assistant if certain records could be purchased. Purchased? Information about ownership, investments, and inheritance. Did he know it was mine? We do not know. I paced across the office. Victoria missed my father's funeral. I know. She was with Adrian. Samuel said nothing. And now I find out Adrian was digging into my father's money. Daniel, do not defend her. I am not. Then tell me what I am supposed to think. Samuel spoke quietly. I think you should stop guessing and start protecting yourself. I looked down at the letter. Was my marriage falling apart because Victoria wanted Adrian? Or because she believed I had something worth taking? Maybe both. The answer made me sick. Samuel pointed at the documents. Keep these somewhere safe. Tell nobody, not even Victoria, especially not until you know more. I folded the letter carefully. My father knew. He suspected. No, he knew something was wrong. He just did not know how far it would go. When I reached home, Victoria's car was already outside. I stopped at the door. For 1 second, I wanted to turn around. Instead, I went inside. Victoria rushed toward me. Daniel, before I could speak, she wrapped her arms around me. I am here now, she whispered. I stood completely still. She pulled back. Daniel? I looked into her eyes. For years, I would have held her tighter and apologized for being angry. But my father's letter was still in my pocket. His warning was still in my head. I am here now, she repeated. I finally answered. Yes, Victoria. I know. And for the first time, I did not hug her back. Victoria searched my face. Are you angry? I almost smiled. What do you think? I think you are hurt. That is convenient. Daniel, I said I was sorry. You said you had a meeting. I did. Was Adrian there? Her eyes changed. Why are you asking again? Because I am tired of asking questions that make you uncomfortable. She stepped closer. You are grieving. We should not fight tonight. Maybe grief is the reason I finally see clearly. Her phone vibrated. She looked down. Adrian. I saw his name. Neither of us spoke. Then I walked past her. Where are you going? She asked. To my room. Our room, Daniel. I stopped. Not tonight. I decided not to confront Victoria immediately. Anger wanted me to shout, demand answers, and tear apart every lie between us. Instead, I watched. I listened. I stopped explaining myself. For 2 days, Victoria seemed relieved. You have been quiet, she said over breakfast. I nodded. I have been thinking. About what? Everything. She smiled faintly. Good. Maybe we can finally move forward. I looked at her. Maybe. That night, I woke and found her missing from bed. Light came through the balcony door. I heard her voice. He will not understand the business side. She whispered. My body went cold. Adrian answered through her phone, but I could not hear his words. Victoria sighed. He will sign when the time is right. I stood behind the bedroom wall, barely breathing. She was talking about me. Adrian must have asked something, because she whispered, Daniel trusts me. He always has. Those words hurt more than an insult. I returned to bed before she came inside. The next morning, Victoria placed a folder beside my coffee. What is this? A financial agreement. I looked at the cover. For what? Just protection for both of us. Both of us? Yes. You know how complicated my company has become. I opened the folder without reading. And what exactly am I agreeing to? Nothing unreasonable. It only keeps certain assets separate. My father's assets? Her smile disappeared for 1 second. Then it returned. Why would you ask that? Because you suddenly care about paperwork. Daniel, you are imagining things. Maybe. She pushed the folder toward me. Just sign it. I smiled. Of course. Let me have Samuel review it first. The silence was immediate. Samuel? Yes. You do not need a lawyer for this. You have an entire legal department. That is different. How? Victoria looked away. I closed the folder. Fear had crossed her face. Only for a second, but I saw it. That night, I opened my closet. I took out one suit, then another. I folded them carefully and placed them in a suitcase. I left behind the watches, jackets, and expensive shoes Victoria had bought me. Lily arrived an hour later. She looked at the suitcase. Are you really leaving her? I kept folding. I do not know yet. Daniel, that sounds like leaving. It sounds like preparing. For what? For the truth. She sat beside me. What truth could possibly make this better? Maybe none. Then why stay? Because I need to know exactly what happened. She lowered her voice. You already know she betrayed you. I know what I saw, and I do not know why. Does the reason matter? Yes. Why? Because if I leave without understanding, I will spend years asking myself what I missed. Lily shook her head. Sometimes the answer is simple. Someone hurts you because they choose to. I stopped folding. Maybe. My phone rang. Marcus. I answered. What? I heard from Lily. Of course you did. Are you leaving? I looked at the half-empty closet. Not yet. Makusite. You do not have to burn your life down. I said nothing. But you do have to stop standing inside a burning house. I sat on the edge of the bed. What if I am wrong? Then you apologize for being suspicious. And if I am right, then stop apologizing for surviving. His words stayed with me after the call ended. Lily stood. What are you going to do now? I zipped the suitcase halfway. I am not begging Victoria to choose me. She watched me. Then what? I looked toward the closed bedroom door. I am going to find out who she chose. And why. I placed the suitcase beneath the bed before Victoria returned. I was not ready to disappear. When she entered, she smiled. Everything all right? I looked at her and answered better than before. She studied me. You seem different. Maybe I am. Did Samuel say something? Why would you ask that? No reason. I nodded. Then do not worry about it. She walked closer. Daniel, I want us to trust each other. Trust is easy to ask for. Her expression hardened. What does that mean? It means I am tired. I turned away before she could read my face. Behind me, she said, I love you. I closed my eyes. For the first time, I did not answer. That silence was not weakness. It was my first step toward freedom, truth, and whatever waited after both. I arrived at Victoria's company gala, wearing the same black suit I had worn to my father's funeral. I had chosen it for one reason. I wanted to remember what this night was really about. Marcus had warned me. You do not have to go. I adjusted my cuff. I know. Then why are you going? Because hiding from them will not change anything. Victoria met me near the entrance. You came. You invited me. I did not think you would. Neither did I. She searched my face. Please do not make tonight difficult. I almost laughed. Is that what you think I came here to do? Before she could answer, Adrian walked toward us. "Daniel," he said warmly. I watched him extend his hand. Then I shook it. "Victoria talks about you all the time." I looked directly into his eyes. "That must be difficult for you." His smile faded. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." Victoria touched my arm. "Daniel." "What?" Adrian recovered quickly. "I can see you are upset." I smiled. "No, I am finally paying attention." I walked away before either of them could answer. For an hour, I listened to investors, employees, and strangers praise Victoria. Every person saw the brilliant CEO. Nobody saw the woman who had left me standing beside an empty chair. Victoria finally cornered me near the bar. "Why are you acting like this?" "Like what?" "Cold, angry, embarrassing me in front of Adrian." I stared at her. "Did you enjoy the funeral?" Her face went pale. "Daniel, did you? You know why I could not come." "No, I know where you were. It was business. You were holding his arm. That means nothing. You were smiling while my father was buried." She lowered her voice. "People are watching." "Good. Maybe someone will finally see. Nothing happened between Adrian and me." "Then why do you look terrified every time I say his name?" She stepped closer. "I made a mistake. Missing the funeral was a mistake. Daniel, choosing another man was a decision." Her eyes filled, but I could no longer tell whether tears meant regret or fear. I walked away again. Later, I found Adrian alone near a quiet hallway. He smiled. "Still angry?" I stopped. "You have a lot of confidence for a man standing so close to a cliff." He laughed. "You think you can threaten me?" "No. I think you are doing enough damage yourself." His smile disappeared. "Victoria will leave you eventually," he said. "Maybe. People like her outgrow people like you." My hand tightened. For one dangerous second, I imagined hitting him. Instead, I laughed. "What is funny?" He asked. "Maybe you are right." He looked pleased. "But you should be careful about what you think you are inheriting." His expression changed. "What does that mean?" "You will find out." I walked away. He had no idea what Samuel had shown me. He did not know my father's investment belonged to me. He did not know Adrian had already tried to uncover information about it. And he certainly did not know I had stopped trusting Victoria. When we returned home, Victoria went upstairs and left her tablet on the kitchen counter. For several minutes, I stared at it. Then it vibrated. A message appeared. From Adrian. "I should have waited until the account transfer cleared. I cannot keep covering these debts forever." Another message followed. "Victoria still believes I care about her. Once she approves the expansion, I can solve everything." My stomach turned. There it was. Adrian was not in love with my wife. He was using her. And Victoria was so desperate to believe in him that she had ignored every warning. I kept reading. "Do not let Daniel see anything. He might become suspicious about the inheritance." My hands went cold. Then I heard Victoria's footsteps. I placed the tablet exactly where I found it. She entered the kitchen. "You left early," she said. "I was tired." She studied me. "Are we going to talk?" I looked at her. "Soon." "What does that mean?" "It means I am learning patience." "Daniel, you are scaring me." For months, I was scared too. Of what? Of discovering that I loved someone I did not really know. Her face broke. I wanted to comfort her. I did not move. That night, I sat alone in the dark and thought about revenge. I could expose Adrian. I could show Victoria every message. I could destroy their trust with one conversation. Part of me wanted exactly that. But another part of me wanted something colder. The truth was already eating them alive. I only had to decide whether to become the man who pushed them over the edge, or the man who stepped aside and watched them fall. For the first time since my father's funeral, revenge was within my reach, and I was no longer sure whether I wanted justice, forgiveness, or the satisfaction of seeing both of them finally understand what they had done to me. I turned off the light, knowing tomorrow would change everything. I spent the next few days fighting with myself. Every morning, I imagined walking into Victoria's company and placing every message, document, and secret on the boardroom table. Then I imagined her face. Part of me wanted to hurt her. Another part wanted to leave without looking back. My mother noticed before I said anything. She placed a cup of tea in front of me. "You've been somewhere else all week." I looked down. "Maybe I have." Are you planning revenge? I smiled bitterly. Is it that obvious? To me, yes. I told her everything. When I finished, she stayed quiet. Then she said, Your father would want justice. But do not confuse justice with becoming cruel. Those words hit harder than I expected. You think I am becoming cruel? I think you are in pain. That is not the same thing. No, she said, but pain can make good people enjoy doing bad things. I looked away. What if she deserves it? Maybe she does. Then why should I hold back? Because your choices still belong to you. I left my mother's house with more questions than answers. Later, Samuel met me at a quiet cafe. I won't expose them. I told him. Who? Victoria and Adrian. Samuel stirred his coffee. Anger is not evidence, Daniel. I have evidence. Then protect it. Do not throw it away because you want a dramatic ending. So what do? You separate what you feel from what you can prove. I hated how reasonable he sounded. Marcus was less gentle. Leaving her is not losing. He said when I called him, it feels like losing. Only because you spent years making her your whole life. That was not fair. Neither was missing your father's funeral. I went quiet. Marcus continued. You can walk away without being defeated. I do not know if I can. Then learn. When I returned home, Victoria was waiting in the kitchen. Where were you? Out. With who? I smiled. What? Funny. I thought we stopped explaining ourselves to each other. Her face hardened. This is not funny. Neither was a photograph. She folded her arms. Why does Samuel keep calling you? Business. What business? Private business. Daniel, I am your wife. I looked at her. Are you? She stepped back. Then her phone lit up. Adrian. She quickly turned the screen over. That answered enough. The next morning, Samuel called again. This time, he asked me to meet someone. Her name is Naomi Chun, he said. Victoria's chief financial officer? Yes. Why does she want to meet me? She found something involving Adrian. I met Naomi in a small coffee shop after work. She arrived carrying a thin folder. You are Daniel Morgan? I am. I need to ask you something. Go ahead. Can I trust you? I almost laughed. Not yet. Her eyes narrowed. That is an unusual answer. But I am trying to become someone who can trust himself. Naomi studied me. Samuel said you were different from what I expected. What did you expect? The husband who knows nothing. That was me last week. I found unusual transfers connected to Adrian. How unusual. Money moved through several accounts, then disappeared into companies with no clear purpose. And Victoria proved this? Some transactions had executive authorization. My stomach tightened. Was it hers? I do not know yet. Naomi slid another page toward me. Adrian has debt. Serious debt. I already know he needs something from Victoria. Naomi looked surprised. How much do you know? Enough to understand that he is using her. Using her emotions, Naomi said, and possibly her company access. I stared at the papers. So this is real. Yes. What are you going to do? I closed the folder. What do you want me to do? I want the truth protected before someone destroys it. I thought about Victoria. I thought about Adrian. I thought about my father lying beneath cold rain, while my wife stood beside another man. Karma had finally started moving, but I still had a choice. I could step aside and let their lies collapse under their own weight, or I could push everything forward and make sure they fell harder. Naomi waited. Well? She asked. I stood slowly. Not yet. Not yet what? Not yet revenge. And for the first time, I understood that choosing not to strike was not the same as forgiveness. Sometimes it was simply patience. I was not inside the boardroom when Adrian finally ran out of lies. Naomi called me that afternoon. It is happening, she said. What is? The investigation. The board has called Adrian in. And Victoria? She is there. I looked through my office window. Does she know? Not yet. What happens now? Naomi paused. That depends on how long Adrian keeps lying. I almost laughed. Then it may take all day. Daniel. What? This is serious. I know. Do you want to come? No. Why not? Because I spent too long watching them. Today, I want the truth to speak without me. Hours passed. Then Naomi called again. It is over. I sat down. Tell me. Adrian denied everything. Of course he did. He said the transfers were authorized. He claimed the debts were personal matters. Then we put the records on the screen. And he changed his story. Victoria? Naomi became quiet. She looked like someone had taken the ground from beneath her. I closed my eyes. Did she defend him? At first. I felt something inside me sink. Then what? Then we showed the messages. The ones about her? Yes. The ones proving he used her? Yes. I gripped the phone. What did she say? Nothing for a long time. And Adrian? He asked for a private meeting. Did he get one? No. The board removed him from his position. Just like that? Not completely. There will be lawyers, audits, and consequences. Good. Daniel. What? Do not sound happy. I looked down. I am not. That night, my phone rang. Victoria. I answered. Hello? Daniel. Her voice broke. I sat silently. He used me. For months, I had imagined hearing those words. I thought they would heal something. They did not. And what did you do to me? She stopped crying. I do not know what to say. That is the problem. I was stupid. Yes, I was lonely. You were married. I thought he cared. And I thought you would stand beside me when my father died. Daniel, please. No, you had a choice. I know. You chose him. I know. Her breathing shook. Can I come home? It is your house, too. Not anymore, she whispered. I had no answer. The next evening, Victoria came home early. I heard the front door close. Daniel? I stayed downstairs beside my suitcase. A minute later, I heard footsteps racing above me. Then silence. Daniel. Her voice came from the stairs. I looked up. Her face was pale. You emptied your closet. Almost. You are leaving? No. She came down slowly. No, I left a long time ago. I just had not moved my clothes yet. The words broke something inside her. Please do not do this. I stood. Do what? Leave me. I laughed without humor. You left first. I made mistakes. You missed my father's funeral. I know. You lied to me. I know. You protected Adrian. I know. She covered her face. Stop. Why? Because I cannot undo it. Exactly. She lowered her hands. I know I miss your father's funeral. I know I can never fix that. My anger weakened for one dangerous second. Her voice sounded real. Her regret looked real. Then stop asking me pretend it did not matter. I am not asking that. Then what are you asking? For one chance. I looked at the suitcase. Then I looked at the woman I had loved. The company investigation had damaged her reputation. Investors questioned her judgment. Employees had seen that she ignored warnings while protecting Adrian. For once, Victoria understood consequences. But understanding pain after causing it did not erase the wound. I picked up my suitcase. She stepped in front of the door. Please, move. Daniel, move. What if I change? I looked into her eyes. Then change. With me. No. Why not? Because I cannot spend my life waiting to see whether you finally become the person you promised to be. She began crying again. I almost reached for her. Instead, I remembered the rain, the grave, the empty chair. I walked past her. Behind me, she whispered my name. I stopped, but I did not turn around. For the first time, her power could not keep me. And for the first time, I understood that walking away was not revenge. It was the only way I could save myself. Outside, I stood beside my car and looked back at the house. I had entered it as a husband who believed love meant enduring everything. I left it knowing love without respect was only another kind of prison. Victoria had finally come home. My closet was empty, and so was the future I once imagined for us. I did not know where tomorrow led, but I kept walking anyway. I learned quickly that leaving Victoria was easier than living without the life I had imagined. Anger was simple. I could hold it, feed it, and let it keep me warm. Grief was different. My new apartment was small enough that every silence felt personal. Marcus visited on my first night. You hate it, he said. I looked around. It has walls. That was not an answer. It has a broken kitchen light, too. He laughed. There you are. I sat on the floor, because I had not bought a couch. I thought leaving would feel like winning. Marcus became quiet. It does not. No, because you were not trying to win. I looked at my empty hands. Then what was I trying to do? Survive. The next morning, Samuel called. Are you ready to see the company? I almost said no. Instead, I said, I have no idea what I am doing. Good, Samuel answered. Honest people learn faster. The technology company occupied one floor of an old building. I expected polished offices and people waiting to impress me. Instead, Samuel introduced me to Elena Torres. She shook my hand. Your father talked about you. That worries me. Why? Because he usually told embarrassing stories. Elena smiled. Then I will protect your reputation. I looked at Samuel. You brought me here for that? I brought you here because your father trusted her. Elena pointed toward a conference room. Come on. I will show you what he left behind. For the next hour, I understood almost nothing. I finally stopped her. Can we begin with words normal people use? Elena laughed. That is a fair request. I am serious. So am I. Ask every question. Even stupid ones? Especially those. That became our arrangement. Days turned into weeks. I asked questions. I made decisions. Some worked. Others failed. After one terrible meeting, I called Marcus. I just lost a client. Did you lose the company? No. Did anyone die? No. Then breathe. That is your advice? Today, yes. I laughed for the first time in days. Victoria kept calling. Sometimes I answered. Daniel, please talk to me. I am talking. No. You are surviving the conversation. Maybe that is all I can do. Can I see you? Not today. Every call ended with pain. One evening, I met Elena after work. Everyone keeps saying I am better off. She placed her folder on the table. Are you? I do not know. Being better off does not mean you do not mourn what you lost. I looked at her. Nobody else says that. Most people prefer easy sentences. And you do not? No. Her honesty became something I trusted. Months passed before Victoria's apology letter arrived. I left it unopened on my kitchen table. Marcus noticed it. Are you going to read that? Not yet. Why? Because I am afraid I will believe her. Eventually, one rainy night, I opened it. I read every line alone. I thought success meant never needing anyone. Then I lost the one person who loved me before I became important. I closed my eyes. For a moment, I wanted to call her. Instead, I sat with the truth. Her regret was real. So was my pain. One did not erase the other. The next morning, Elena found me staring at the letter. Bad news? Old news. Those can hurt longer. I folded the paper. Do you think people deserve forgiveness? I think people deserve honesty. That is not what I asked. I know. I smiled. Then she added, forgiveness is not a repair service. You can forgive someone and still refuse to rebuild the same house. Those words stayed with me. At work, I began making decisions without calling Victoria, Samuel, or Marcus first. I hired someone. I rejected a bad proposal. I argued with Elena. You are wrong, I told her. Prove it. I did. She grinned. Congratulations. For what? You finally sound like the owner. I looked around the room. For years, I had believed I needed Victoria to understand money, business, and power. Now I saw something painful. I had allowed myself to become smaller because being small made her feel necessary. That realization hurt, but it also freed me. Victoria called again that night. I answered. Daniel. Yes. I miss you. I closed my eyes. I know. Do you miss me? The old version of me would have answered immediately. Now I took my time. Sometimes. Her breath caught. Is there hope? I looked at my apartment, my papers, and the life I was learning to build. There's always hope, Victoria. For us, I do not know. That was the truth. And for the first time, I gave it without apologizing. For once, uncertainty felt painful, but it was mine. Months later, I returned to the old house for the final box I had left behind. Victoria opened the door. Daniel. Victoria. She stepped aside. You can come in. I entered slowly. The silence was strange. No assistants waited in the kitchen. No investors called from another room. No phone kept vibrating in her hand. You changed the house, I said. I changed a lot of things. I noticed. I could have argued. I did not. My box is upstairs. I know. Then I will get it. Daniel, wait. I stopped. Please sit down. I looked at her. I do not expect you to forgive me, she said, but I need to tell you the truth. I sat across from her. She folded her hands. Adrian manipulated me. I know, but that is not an excuse. I waited. I could blame him for lying. I could blame him for using my feelings. I could blame him for seeing my weakness and taking advantage of it. And Victoria looked directly at me. But I made my own choices. My chest tightened. I chose ambition over your pain. I said nothing. I chose silence over honesty. Still nothing. I chose another man's attention on the day you needed me most. Her voice broke. I missed your father's funeral because I wanted to be somewhere else. I kept waiting for an excuse. None came. She wiped her eyes. I told myself I could fix everything later. I thought you would always be there when I was ready to come back. I laughed softly. That was your biggest mistake. I know. No, Victoria. Your biggest mistake was believing my love meant I had no limits. She lowered her head. You are right. I stood and walked toward a window. My father wrote me a letter before he died. She looked up. Samuel told me there was one. He warned me about you. Victoria closed her eyes. What did he say? I told her about the letter. I told her how my father had watched me become smaller, how he worried I had forgotten my own worth. Victoria began crying before I finished. He died thinking I deserved better, I said, and I hated him for saying it. Daniel, I thought he was judging you. She covered her mouth. I am sorry. I know you are. That does not mean anything is fixed. I know. I wish I could change that day. Victoria whispered. I looked at her. You cannot change it. You can only live honestly after it. I looked at the stairs. My box is waiting, and I think I am finally ready now. Victoria stood. There is something else upstairs. What? You left it behind. I followed her to our old bedroom. The closet door stood open. My side was empty except for one thing. My old jacket. I stopped breathing for a second. My father gave me that on our wedding day. I remember. I thought it was lost. I kept it safe. Why? Because I knew it mattered. I reached for it. My fingers shook. My father had smiled and handed me the jacket. Wear this, he had said. A man should remember where he came from before deciding where he is going. I put the jacket on. Victoria watched me. It still fits. So, do some memories. She almost smiled. Then the sadness returned. What happens now? I looked around the room. I do not know. Do you still love me? Part of me does. But love is not a promise to stay. I know. I picked up my final box. Victoria stepped closer. Can I ask for one thing? You can ask. Do not hate me forever. I looked at her for a long moment. I do not want to carry you like that. Then what will you carry? I touched the sleeve of my father's jacket. What matters? I moved toward the door. Daniel. I stopped. Thank you for coming back. I turned slightly. I did not come back for you. I know. I came back for the last thing I left behind. The jacket? No. I looked at the house one final time. Myself. Then I walked downstairs. For years, I had carried our marriage like a wound, reopening it whenever I remembered what I had lost. At the door, I paused. I was not leaving angry. I was simply leaving. And this time, I was taking everything that still belonged to me, including my peace again. Victoria stood near the door, her hands trembling. Is there any chance for us? I did not answer. The silence stretched between us. Daniel, please. I looked at the old jacket on my shoulders. I still remember the woman I loved. Victoria lowered her eyes. I remember the life we planned, too. She whispered. That is what makes this hard. She looked up quickly. Then it is not over. I shook my head. Love is not enough. It should be. Sometimes it is. Sometimes trust is broken so many times that love has nowhere safe to live. Her face tightened. I know I failed you. You did. You know I lied. You did. I know I chose Adrian. I closed my eyes. You did. She took a step closer. But I chose you once too. That sentence hurt because it was true. Yes, I said. And I spent years believing that choice would protect us. I was wrong. So was I. Victoria reached for my hand. I moved it away. She stopped. I am sorry. I believe you. Her breath caught. Then stay. No. Why? Because believing your regret is not the same as trusting you with my life again. She began to cry. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. I know. You did while I was asking you to stand beside me. I know. You did it while my father was dying. Daniel, please. No. Listen this time. She went still. I spent too long listening to explanations. I deserved to say this without being interrupted. She nodded. I loved you before the money, before the company became powerful, before strangers knew your name. Tears ran down her face. I know, and somewhere along the way, I became the person you expected to wait. I did not realize it. That does not change it. No, I picked up my final box. She whispered, so this is goodbye? I looked toward the open door. For a moment, I saw rain in my mind. I saw my father's grave. I saw the empty chair beside me. I saw my phone lighting up with a photograph of my wife beside another man. No, I said quietly. Goodbye happened that day. Victoria stared at me. This is me finally accepting it. She covered her mouth. I thought I could come home and fix everything. I know. I thought if I explained enough, you would understand. I understood more than you think. Then why can you not forgive me? I looked at her. I do forgive you. Her eyes widened. You do? I forgive you for myself. Not because you earned it. She stood frozen. I do not want to wake up angry because of you. I do not want every good day to feel stolen from the bad ones. Daniel, forgiveness is how I put down the weight. It is not permission for you to hand it back to me. She started crying harder. I wish I had known that sooner. Maybe I did too. I walked toward the door. She followed me. Where will you go? Home. You do not live here anymore. I looked at her. Exactly. Outside, Marcus was waiting beside his car. Victoria saw him and gave a small, broken laugh. Of course he is here. He has always been there. I know. That was the difference. Marcus walked toward us. Everything ready? I nodded. Victoria looked at me one last time. Can I call you? Sometimes. Can I visit? Not without asking. Can we be friends? I thought about it. Not now. She nodded slowly. I understand. For the first time, I believed she might. My mother had once told me that justice and cruelty were not the same. Standing there, I finally understood why. I could have tried to destroy Victoria. I could have exposed every weakness, every message, every lie. Instead, the truth had done what revenge never could. It had shown us both who we were. Victoria had lost Adrian. She had lost trust. She had damaged the life she worked so hard to build. But I had lost something too. I had lost a version of myself who believed love meant staying no matter what. And strangely, I did not miss that man. Victoria spoke again. Daniel. I turned. I hope you find happiness. The word surprised me. Thank you. I mean it. I know. Do you think I can be happy too? That is not my decision anymore. She smiled through tears. You finally learned how to let me go. I looked down. No. She waited. I learned how to let myself go. Marcus opened the car door. I placed my final box inside. Before getting in, I took one last look at the house. The place had once felt like proof that I had succeeded. Now it was only a building full of memories. Some were beautiful. Some were painful. None of them could follow me unless I carried them. Victoria remained by the door. I raised my hand. Not a promise. Not an invitation. Just an ending. She raised hers. Then I got into the car. Marcus started the engine. You okay? I looked through the window as the house grew smaller. No. He smiled slightly. Honest answer. But I will be. That is better. We drove away. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Marcus said, Your father will be proud. My throat tightened. I hope so. He would tell you that you finally learned the lesson. Which lesson? Showing up matters. I looked ahead. My father had shown up for me his entire life, at my failures, at my fears, at every moment when I thought I was alone. Even after his death, he had found a way to leave me one last warning, one last gift, the truth. I touched the jacket he had given me. For years, I thought strength meant holding on. Now I knew better. Sometimes strength meant opening your hand. Sometimes survival meant walking away. Sometimes revenge was refusing to become the person pain wanted you to be. My phone vibrated. I looked at the screen. Victoria. Marcus glanced at me. You gonna answer? I watched the name disappear. No. Good. I smiled. Not because I hated her. Not because I wanted her to suffer. I simply had somewhere else to be. My life was waiting. And this time, I was not going to make it wait for me. As the city lights passed beyond the window, I felt my grief beside me, quiet but no longer in control. I missed my father. I mourned my marriage. I carried regret for the years I had spent ignoring what hurt me. But I also carried something new. Myself. I did not know what tomorrow would bring. I did not know whether I would fall in love again. I did not know whether Victoria and I would ever speak without pain. For once, I did not need those answers. I had spent too much of my life waiting for someone else to decide what happened next. Now I chose. I chose peace over punishment. I chose truth over appearances. I chose grief over pretending I was fine. And most importantly, I chose myself. The rain had stopped by the time Marcus pulled onto the highway. I looked at the road ahead. My father's funeral had begun with an empty chair. My marriage had ended with an empty closet. But the road before me was not empty. It was open, and for the first time in a long time, I was ready to walk it alone.